one thing that always bothered me when I explain the situation is people always go, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Like, that's always the first reaction, and
Yeah.
that's really frustrating because it's like, well, it's not sorry. Like, I'm not sorry about it. I mean, there are times when it upsets me, but I mean, uh, as is life, you just kind of have to be thankful for what you have. And so I think a really awesome way for a stranger to react to you explaining your situation to them is just maybe asking questions. I feel like that shows their true interest as opposed to like them just feeling sorry for you and like pity you, and I don't really like that.
A younger brother that's autistic, you get to experience a lot of, different interesting experience that you'd never experienced before. Like, I went to a school that dealt with mostly autistic kids for like my 8th grade year, and it was one of my favorite years of school ever, because it was, a school where a lot of the kids were mentally or physically disabled, and there's a few kids that weren't, and it was interesting and fun at the same time. So my
it's just
favorite
more
year of
varied,
school.
and you didn't know what was going to happen next. Is that part of it?
Part of it was also because the people were more relatable there, and they were obsessed with Pokemon.
Okay.
Great year.
I think it's really hard for my mom to trust other people to be able to take care of him, because she knows that they don't really understand like what he has, how to deal with any problems that come up. And I feel like I know she can be very protective and very uncomfortable with leaving him, even with like our aunts and uncles, like just by himself, because she thinks that like she's the only person that really knows what to do. So I think I like worry for her, that kind of insecurity, like no one is able to take care of him as well unless they know all this. So that's that kind of pressure that's on her, that like I'm the only one that really truly is the best caretaker for him. I think that pressure is very hard on her.
Compared to children with typically developing siblings, siblings of children with disabilities are more likely to have problems with behavior at school and home, and problems getting in trouble in general. It's important to note that 54.5% of siblings of children with disabilities have problems with behavior at home. It's helpful to keep that in mind when considering the family functioning and overall levels of stress.
And we were from a very small rural town, and good and bad with that. I think for the most part, people were very accepting, and I was on the, if you had to, the better end of things. But there were instances, I can remember on the school bus, kids not understanding and picking on him, and me like wanting to suck some of them. But at the same time, like I think it was really hard for me. I think in many ways I'm a lot more of an extrovert now and a lot more out there as I've gotten older. I think going to college and separating myself from all of that really helped me. I think that when I look back at my childhood, even though I was the eldest, it bothered me, but I internalized a lot of that. Like inside, I was like, but like I would never outwardly do that. But I would come home and like it would sit with me for a long time.
I'm jealous of my brother because he is very bold, and he just does what he wants, and I'm jealous of that because I'm sometimes the opposite, and usually when I do make some big decision, it blows up in my face anyway.
Really?
No, but like as in. Like, I'm jealous of him because, if he wants to do something, he'll just do it.
He doesn't worry about the consequences.
No, not even a second thought. And it makes me jealous because he seems to have a lot more fun that way.
Compared to children with typically developing siblings, siblings of children with disabilities are more likely to have problems feeling sad, having fun, and problems completing schoolwork and participating in sports and hobbies. I'd like to draw your attention to the first set of bars showing that 44% of children with siblings who have disabilities have problems with being unhappy or feeling sad.
Yeah, I feel a strong need to achieve because my brother doesn't. So, I mean, like that, I would say they're in direct correlation. My parents put a lot of pressure on me as I've gotten older to, you know, do more and like to be the successful one because they need me to be successful so that they feel like they're successful parents.
And it took me a long time to, I think, deal with it. I think part of it is being the oldest child is definitely one thing. And then, you know, having, not only being the oldest child, but then at age 7, you have, you know, a 4-year-old sister who's normal, and then all of a sudden you have this disabled sister. And so I think you grow up very, very fast. And you don't really take the time to deal with it, and you don't really realize what you've missed. And, you know, I know some of it were other outside issues, but I think it definitely played a part in, you know, suffering from depression at one point. And, you know, being so focused on doing stuff at home, you tend to ignore some of the other areas of your life. Like, I think, you know, being so focused at home, I ignored activity level, and to the point where I ended up with a metabolic disorder.
How many people here were like 13 going on 30? I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
like every, I know, right? Like, is it basically like everyone kind of felt like they were always the little adult?
Yeah.
And is that a bad thing?
No, I think I had a really like
Perception.
full life, but I mean, I don't really have friends from my childhood anymore because I was always like the little adult, and so like I wasn't very fun. Yeah, our brother doesn't have a schedule for his school, but his mind needs a routine, so he definitely has a schedule, and it is hard if something comes up with maybe an event you need to go to or want to go to that the transportation or something wouldn't be normal for his schedule, so that can be difficult at times for him to adjust to, and therefore for us to be able to do.
I go through a lot of doubt and a lot of difficulty accepting my imperfections, and I don't know if that's a product of my brother or the way that I was brought up or what that was. I haven't really figured that out, but.
She's nonverbal, but she loves to laugh, and we do fake sneezing, and she just cracks up every time. And whenever we have family pictures, we're like all sneezing, and she's like cracking up.
This research has shown that children growing up with siblings who have disability are at risk for problems with health, mental health, and social and behavior that may significantly compromise their quality of life now and in the future. The problems these siblings face could be helped by counseling, support groups, camps, or sibling clubs. These children often feel isolated and alone in their experience and may greatly benefit from a low-intensity supportive intervention. It's important to remember that not all children appear negatively impacted by a sibling with a disability. If 50% of siblings struggle with certain problems, that means that 50% of them do not. It's important to understand the factors that contribute to resilience in children so we can better support families.
The piece about like caretaking is like there's no one else. If I had the choice, no. But I don't really have a choice. My parents are 88 years old, and I have no choice.
Yeah, my parents and I have discussed it before, that I'll probably most likely be his provider. I think it's called, where you like take them to appointments and help them pay their bills and help them with the daily activities that they need to know how to do and that kind of stuff. So that would probably play a major role in his life if he couldn't do those by himself already.
It kind of scares me actually just thinking about stuff like that because, like, I mean, I'm only in high school and I don't really know what I'm going to do with my future, and the fact that I think that I might end up having to take care of my brother's future too, it's a lot to handle.
Yeah, I agree because